Manchester United received massive double injury boost ahead of the crucial game against Crystal Palace this Saturday. INEOS reportedly trying to hijack Wonderkid from Southampton, Tyler Dibling, and Kobbie Mainoo new contract. These are some of the topics we will be discussing on this evening's live show. But before we get into that, please do me one small favour. Smash a like on today's video. Let's try and see 500 likes on this episode. And if this is your first time watching, please also subscribe to the channel. Currently, only 50% of people who watch our videos are subscribed. So if this is your first time watching, make sure you get involved. I'm live every day at 8:30 and 6 p.m. UK time. Right, let's start the show off with some positivity then, shall we? Because we've had some massive breaking news drop in the last couple of minutes, and it's in relation to injuries. Kobbie Mainoo and Rasmus Højlund are now back in first team training. There's pictures of them from Carrington today on the grass, training with the rest of the team, and they will apparently be available for selection for the upcoming fixture against Crystal Palace. This is absolutely massive for Manchester United. I think we've been crying out for Rasmus Højlund for the whole of this season. If you look at the stats from this season so far, Manchester United have created the most chances out of any team in the Premier League. And we've also missed the most chances out of any Premier League team, which has absolutely been mad, isn't it? We're not having trouble creating chances. We're having trouble finishing them. And we've missed the most, I can't remember what they called it. It's like a clear-cut chance. Effectively, it's a chance where you're supposed to score. And I think Man United have missed like 9 or something in the first 4 games, which is effectively meaning that 9 times we should have scored and we had an easy chance to score, but we didn't. So, yeah, Rasmus Højlund coming back, that's absolutely amazing. Do I think he'll start the game on Saturday? Probably not, but obviously to have Rasmus on the bench as an option to bring on later on in the game is absolutely incredible. I think the likelihood is probably that Rashford, Garnacho and Ahmad will probably start, I imagine. And then obviously you then have Xerxes and Højlund available on the bench. So if you need to change the game later on, you can bring both of those players on. Whether that's together or one at a time, I don't know. But yeah, I think this is a massive boost for Manchester United, especially when you look at the schedule we've got coming up over the next couple of weeks. Obviously we play Crystal Palace on Saturday, which is a must-win game. We have to win that game. If we want to get top 4, I know we're only 4 games into the season, but I honestly think, like, if Man United want to get top 4, we need to be beating teams like Crystal Palace. I'm sorry. We didn't get top 4 last season, and that was because we lost to teams like Crystal Palace. So, yeah, we play Crystal Palace on Saturday, and then after that, we play FC Twente in the Europa League. I think that's on a Wednesday night, I think. Obviously, we should be able to rotate for that game, so there's not really anything to worry about that. That's a week today. And then we play Tottenham in the Premier League, which is a week on Sunday, which again is a must-win game for Manchester United. Like, we have to win that game. No excuses. We've got to beat Crystal Palace. We've got to beat Tottenham. If we win both of those games, I think it then puts us in a bit more of a good stead, because then straight after that, you've then got Porto away in the Europa League. That's not going to be easy. And then you have to go and play Aston Villa in the Premier League away. So these next 3 games, these next 3 games for Manchester United, Crystal Palace, FC Twente and Tottenham, I think could dictate not the whole season, but it could dictate our form for the next couple of months, because I think if we're able to beat all 3 of those teams, it puts us in really, really good position and, you know, momentum and confidence going into those next 2 games against Porto and Aston Villa, which are obviously going to be very, very tough. And then if you look kind of directly after that, it doesn't really get much easier. You have Brentford at home, which we should win, but no game is easy in the Premier League. And then after that, you've got Fenerbahce away. Never going to be easy. Going to Turkish stadiums is always very hostile. Obviously, we lost to Galatasaray last season, didn't we? So yeah, obviously going to Fenerbahce, Jose Mourinho's the manager of Fenerbahce. Like, he's going to want, every bit of his body is going to want to beat Manchester United. So that's never going to be easy. And then you've got West Ham away, which again is not an easy game either. So yeah, it's quite a difficult run of fixtures coming up. But I think, you know, this 7-0 yesterday against Barnsley, and obviously the 3-0 against Southampton. Yeah, really, really happy about that. I see what people are saying in the chat this morning, or this evening even. Everyone who's just joined the video, if you could do me a small favour and smash a like, that'd be really, really appreciated. I've set a likes target of 500 for today's video. So if everybody who's watching right now likes the video, we will hit that target. So make sure you go and do that right now. And make sure you subscribe as well if you haven't already. Let's see what people in the chat. People are saying, is Kobbie Mainoo injured? Mainoo's not injured. No, he was on the bench yesterday. He just didn't. He wasn't required. Mainoo was sat on the bench, I believe, unless I'm mistaken. But I'm 99% sure Kobbie Mainoo was on the bench. Somebody saying, when's Højlund back? Obviously coming in late to the show. Højlund is back in training, available apparently for selection this weekend, which is great. Lenny Yoro, I think it's going to be a little bit longer. I think Lenny Yoro, we're probably looking at October, which is only 2 weeks away, to be fair, like mid-October, apparently, for Lenny Yoro. So, yeah, Lenny Yoro is a little bit longer, but Mason Mount and Rasmus Højlund back in first-team training. Luke Shaw, Malacia, and Lenny Yoro still not available, still kind of, working in the gym, still trying to get themselves back match fit, which can take a little bit of time. You've got to remember, like, people like Malacia have been out for like a year and a half, which is absolutely mad, isn't it? Right, let's move on from that, though. I want to move over to Angel Gomes, because there's a story that's just broke in the last couple of minutes from a very reliable UK journalist saying that apparently Manchester United are one of the many clubs battling to win the race to sign Angel Gomes next summer. The story says that Manchester United are mulling over handing him a chance to return, and Ten Hag has tasked the scouting department with continuing to keep tabs on him. Now, for anybody who's unaware, Angel Gomes currently only has, I think his contract expires in June next year. He's going to leave Lille as a free agent. And apparently his dream is to come back to Manchester United. That's been widely reported. He feels like he has unfinished business at Manchester United. And you know what? I would sign Angel Gomes in a heartbeat. I think, I'll be honest, I haven't seen that much of him for Lille. I've only seen like compilations and little clips and stuff. But those 2 games he played for England in the international break, like, he looks more than ready to be playing in the Premier League for me. He's just turned 24. So he's kind of, at the right age to come back and to be in the first team. Obviously came through the Manchester United Youth Academy. He left on a free transfer, I think it was 4 years ago, to move to Lille. He was only like 19 when he left the club. Wasn't really going to get any game time at that point. And he's a player who's had his sights set on coming back to Manchester United. Obviously he's been playing well for Lille. Lille are in the Champions League this season. Lille had a really, really good year last year in the French league. And he was a massive part of their success last season. They did lose last night, unfortunately, to Sporting Lisbon in the Champions League. So they didn't get off to the best start in that relation. But last season, honestly, he did really, really well. Hopefully he comes back. I would love to see Angel Gomes back at Manchester United. Obviously, someone who came through the youth academy. He wouldn't cost any money. He's a free agent, not on big wages. Somebody with a point to prove as well, which is exactly what we want. It's somebody who lives and breathes Manchester United. Someone who's, obviously come from the academy. It's exactly the kind of player that Manchester United want. And the most important thing here is that he is actually a good player as well. Just because he's come through the United Academy doesn't give him the divine right to play for Manchester United. We have thousands of players who will have come through the academy in the last 10 years, and probably 99.9% of them probably aren't good enough to make it into the first team. There might be only 10 players in the last decade. You think of the Garnachos, the Rashfords, Willy Camboilas, the Scott McTominays, the Mason Greenwoods, there's probably others I'm forgetting, Kobbie Mainoos. There aren't that many players in the last decade that have broken through. And Angel Gomes was one of those players who, at the time of him leaving, everybody knew he was talented, but there wasn't really the path to the first team. I think that was under Jose Mourinho, wasn't it? Or it might have been under Oli. I can't remember who was the manager 4 years ago. But there wasn't the path to the first team like there is now. Whereas I think under Erik Ten Hag, we've seen with Ahmad, we've seen with Garnacho, Kobbie Mainoo, Toby Collier, Erik Ten Hag is good at bringing through young players and giving them a chance. So I think, Angel Gomes back to Manchester United would be absolutely amazing. As this story says, apparently there is a lot of interest in him. Apparently Newcastle are interested in signing him. So, but I mean, realistically, if he's come through the United Academy, why would he join Newcastle? Why would he do that? There is absolutely no reason for him to join Newcastle. If we want him, we'll get him. That's pretty much the black and white of it for me. So, hopefully Man United managed to do it. Obviously, as I said, it'll be a free transfer. It's not going to cost us any money because he will be out of contract. So, let's hope that Man United get that one done. Let's see what people are saying in the chat this evening. Fred says, would you take Anthony Elanga back? The thing is, though, right, mate, it's a different comparison because Anthony Elanga is going to cost you money. Would I buy Anthony Elanga back? Probably not. But if in, say, 2 years his contract expires and he's still doing well, then yeah, I would. I'd take him back for free. But the thing with Elanga is, right, Elanga's got 4 years left on his contract. So if you were to go to Nottingham Forest and say, we want to sign Anthony Elanga, hypothetically, they paid us nearly 20 million euros for him last season, in 2023, sorry. They're going to probably want 40, 50 million euros, aren't they? Because they bought a player from us who barely was playing for us, hadn't really made much of an impact. And now he's gone to Nottingham Forest and he's playing like pretty much every single minute for them and is looking really, really good. So it's a bit of a difficult question to answer because the bit that you're missing out from your question is, would I take Anthony Elanga back? I probably would. I think he's a decent player, but I wouldn't want to pay 40, 50 million pounds, which is how much Nottingham Forest would probably ask for him. So it's kind of a yes and no answer. But if, say, Anthony Elanga's contract expired next summer, like Angel Gomes's does, and we had the option to bring him back, I probably would bring him back, yeah. But I wouldn't go and spend 40, 50 million on him, personally. Yeah, Joshua says Nottingham Forest rejected a 50 million offer from Newcastle on deadline day for Elanga. There you go. So if Man United wanted Elanga, you're probably going to be talking, what, 60 million, 70 million? Like, it's a no from me. I would take him back for free. I think he's a good squad player, but I'm not going to be paying 60, 70 million. Somebody saying, what about Dan James? Nah, I wouldn't take Dan James back. I don't think. Dan James was just pace. That was all Dan James was. I'm sorry. And he's 27 now. Like, he's not a young player anymore. Whereas, like, Angel Gomes and Elanga, they're still, like, 24, aren't they? Dan James is 27. He's playing football for Leeds in the Championship. How is he doing? Let's have a little look. So Dan James has got 1 goal so far this season in 5 appearances. Sorry, 1 assist. He's got no goals. Nah, it's a no from me. I wouldn't take Dan James back. Definitely not. I think, you know, the 30 million euros that we got for Dan James was absolute daylight robbery. I'm sorry. It was daylight robbery. But no, I wouldn't take him back. But I would take back Angel Gomes. Definitely. Everyone who's just joined, we've got over 400 people watching live now, which is amazing. If you could all do me a little favour and hit the like button, that would be really, really appreciated. We're trying to hit 500 likes on this video, so please go and do that if you haven't already. And if this is your first time watching, please also make sure to subscribe to the channel. We're getting very, very close to 40,000 subscribers, so yeah, please go and subscribe if you haven't already. I've just dropped a link into the chat to do that. Right, let's move on over to Kobbie Mainoo. Because the story this evening is that apparently Manchester United are now set to offer Kobbie Mainoo a brand new contract. And you know what? I don't think anybody can argue with this, can they? So this is coming out from the man himself, Mr. Fabrizio Romano. He is reporting that Jim Ratcliffe plans to have Kobbie Mainoo as one of the main key faces to lead the Manchester United project forward. He says that Mainoo is very happy at the club. So that's very, very good to see. And he also says that United are now prepared to advance in talks with Kobbie Mainoo over a brand new deal. It says that Manchester United want to propose an important contract to Mainoo and make him feel in the best condition possible at the club. I have no problem with that whatsoever. Like, I don't think we should give him crazy, crazy money, to be honest. Like, I still think he is very, very young. You know, I still think he does have a lot of developing to do. This isn't me criticising him. He's 19, for God's sake. He's only 19 years of age, okay? Like, the worst thing that we could do, for me personally, is make the same mistake that what we made with, what's he called? Rashford. Where we handed out absolutely crazy money. You know, we gave him like 350k a week. And then he just lost all motivation, I think. Like, I think Rashford now is back on the right path. I think the confidence is there. The desire is there. But there were moments with Marcus Rashford where it looked like he didn't really care that much anymore. And he was just happy to cash in his 350k a week paycheck. Now, I'm not saying that Kobbie Mainoo would do the same thing. But what I'm saying to you is, when you give young people who, in Marcus Rashford's case, has come from very little. You know, he spoke very publicly about the poverty and the, you know, the financial hardship that him and his family went through. You give somebody who's come from that background £350,000 a week. I mean, that's obviously going to go to their head. I mean, in all fairness, like, yeah. So yeah, I think with Mainoo, I think obviously he needs a new contract. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But for me personally, it would be putting him in the same kind of wage bracket as like the Garnachos, which is about 50, 60,000 a week, or say like the Hoylands, which is around, let me just have a look. Hoyland's on about 70, 80 grand a week, like somewhere around that kind of figure. That would make the most sense for me. You're still giving life-changing amounts of money, £80,000 a week. I think the average salary in the UK is like 30,000, and he'd be earning 80 per week. That's still life-changing amounts of money. But there's a big difference between 80,000 a week plus like bonuses for goals, for assists, than just giving someone 350k a week like we did with Rashford. Like, that's mental money, 350k a week. It's like £20 million a year. Like, what do you even do with that amount of money? How do you wake up each morning feeling motivated when you've got £20 million a year just coming into your account for the next 5-6 years? So, yeah, Mainoo currently earns only 20,000 a week at Manchester United. So, if you were to give him 80, that would be 4 times his current paycheck. So he's still getting a massive improvement. And if you kind of compared that with, like, say, other clubs in the Premier League, right? So say like you compared that with Newcastle as an example. So like say Newcastle's highest earning player, because obviously we pay massive wages. That's like well known fact, isn't it? So if you have a look at say Newcastle, right? They pay Anthony Gordon, who's an England player, just like Kobbie Mainoo, 23 years of age. They pay him 60,000 a week, Newcastle, Anthony Gordon. And that was, giving him a big pay check to come from Everton to Newcastle. So it's got to, for me, be somewhere in that region, and I trust INEOS 100% to not mess this up. Give him like 60 to 80 grand a week, and I think that would be fair, and that's his value. Big ups to Fred, who's just gifted 5 memberships to the Daily Red Devil Members Club. Thank you very much for your support, my friend. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're good. Thank you for your support. If you have been gifted a membership by Fred, make sure to say thank you in the chat. Absolute legend. Really, really appreciate that. Jay Keller says contracts for the young players should be heavy on the bonuses and for the release clause. So he's saying that, the contracts for young players should be more bonus focused because obviously that will motivate them. I agree with it. 100%, 150%, mate. I would have no problem with Mainoo earning a base of like 80k a week, but with loads of incentives. If Man United win the Premier League, he gets this. If they win the Europa League, he gets this. If he scores 20 goals in a season, I'm just giving examples, but, where based on his performances, he can earn more. That's how Arsenal do it. That's what they changed in the last couple of weeks. John says, it's not fair to say that Mainoo is only worth 80,000 a week. Football salaries are all relative and he is worth what the market says. I've just explained to you though, John. I've just explained to you. We've just given a comparison. I've just compared Anthony Gordon, who plays for Newcastle, who finished above us in the Premier League and have more money than us. That's a fact. Newcastle's owners have more money than Manchester United's do. They pay Anthony Gordon, who's a starting player for England, just like Kobbie Mainoo is. They pay him 60,000 a week. So why would we pay Kobbie Mainoo like 200 grand a week? He's not worth that, I'm sorry. Like he just isn't. He's not at that point in his career where he can demand £200,000 a week. So I don't know. I don't really understand what your point here is. I've given you some comparisons. I've given you, let's have a look at Arsenal as another comparison. Kobbie Mainoo's had 1 season in the Premier League, remember? 1 season last year where we finished 8th. Now, I'm not trying to rubbish him, but we had 1 season with Mainoo. He was the standout player in a team that finished 8th. Like, I don't really understand what your point is, or what your argument is. Yeah, I don't know. Lumen says, what if he demands 100,000 a week? I mean, we're talking small amounts of money here. I'm talking like 80,000 to 350,000. I'm talking like this type of money, It's all relative. What I'm saying to you is he needs to be in the same pay bracket as the other players who are at a similar point in their career, right? Those players, those examples I gave you were Garnacho, who just got a new contract last season, similar age, come through the youth academy as well. Garnacho currently earns 50,000 a week at the age of 20. And Garnacho's absolutely tearing it up for Manchester United. Or, if you want to flip that on its head, you could look at someone like Rasmus Højlund. Rasmus Højlund, 21 years of age, he earns 85. Like, he needs to be somewhere in that price bracket. Or if you want to look even further, Diogo Dalot, 25, probably in his prime right now, starts every single game for Manchester United, starts for the Portuguese national team. He's on 85,000 a week. So I've kind of painted the picture here of what I'm trying to say and what my point is, right? That Kobbie Mainoo 100% deserves a pay increase. Him being on 20,000 a week isn't relative to what he brings to the team, okay? But at the age of 19, where you've still got a very, very long way to go in his career, a lot of developing to do, you want to put him on the same type of pay as people like Garnacho, Højlund, Xerxes, people in that kind of age bracket, which is anywhere between 60 to 100,000 a week. Amad Diallo's another example. Amad Diallo's only on 30,000 a week at the moment, and he's obviously going to get a new contract. So it's just really, really important that Manchester United don't go overboard on these deals. But I don't think INEOS will do that. I don't think they're stupid enough to say like, oh, we'll give you 200, 300 grand a week. But yeah. Lumen says, but Newcastle aren't relying on Gordon while we are now a one-player club. How can you say that? Anthony Gordon plays every single week for Newcastle. He's one of their best players. How are we a one-player club? Well, so you honestly think that if Kobbie Mainoo was taken out of our team, we would be worse than we are now? I think that's a bit of a strange narrative to say that Kobbie Mainoo is literally the only good player at Manchester United. I don't understand that. We're not a one-player club. We've got loads of good players now. We've got people like Martinez. We've got De Ligt. We've got Manuel Ugarte. We've got Garnacho. We've got Amad. We've got Joshua Xerxes. We've got Højlund. We've got Diogo Dalot. Like Bruno Fernandes. We've got lots and lots of good players at Manchester United now, I think, and lots of good young players. Like if Kobbie Mainoo got injured now, it would obviously be bad. But I think, as we saw yesterday, you could have a midfield two of Casemiro and Ugarte, and then either Eriksen or Bruno as the number 10. And then you'd still have Mason Mount as a backup. You'd still have Toby Collier as a backup. I think to say that, we'd be nothing without Kobbie Mainoo, I think that's pushing it a little bit too far. Yeah, I mean, maybe you feel like that. Maybe you feel like Kobbie Mainoo is everything to Manchester United. But, I don't really understand. John says, of course, he is not worth 200 grand a week, but we need to be competitive in the market. Yeah, of course. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying you need to pay him fairly based on what other players in his same position at Manchester United are earning, which is like 60 to 100 grand a week, Whereas the point I was making was that Marcus Rashford, his agent, potentially fabricated this whole story that PSG wanted to sign him and that PSG were going to buy him and all the rest of it, right? And then suddenly Man United offer him 350k a week. And I'm saying that that's the mistake that we can't make. Because when you give somebody at that young age that amount of money, as somebody else said in the chat a couple of minutes ago, then they lose motivation. Because what are they then motivated by? Not all players, it depends person to person, but a lot of people, I think, when you give them that amount of money, they kind of do lose motivation. Clement says Mainoo should be in the same wage bracket as Garnacho. If he doesn't want that, then he should leave. I mean, I get your point. I understand what you're saying, and I think there's no reason why Kobbie Mainoo wouldn't accept 80 grand a week. He's a Manchester United youth academy player. He loves the club. He'd be earning 4 times what he's earning now. I'm 99% sure he'd be happy with that. Obviously, I can't speak for Kobbie Mainoo, but I don't see why he would want to leave Manchester United at the age of 19. But let's move on from that and let's talk a little bit about Southampton Wonderkid Tyler Dibling. Now, you'll probably all remember this guy's name. So he obviously was playing for Southampton in the game on Saturday. He was the one who had the shot against Onana. He was the one who won the penalty where Diogo Dalot took him out. Looks unbelievable. Very, very young, talented striker. And the story coming out this evening is that Manchester United are attempting to turn Tyler Dibling's head despite opting against a move at this stage. So apparently Tyler Dibling is a player that Manchester United are actively trying to bring to Manchester United. And the story even goes as far as saying that apparently Dan Ashworth was previously trying to sign Tyler Dibling to the academy when he was at Newcastle. So Tyler Dibling, 18 years of age. And the interesting thing here is he only has 1 year left on his contract at Southampton. And that's where this story has come from. Obviously, he can play as a right winger, an attacking midfielder, and as a left winger. And I think he's played as a striker as well before. But the reason this story has come out today is that effectively his contract expires in like 6 or 7 months. And he's probably going to leave the club. And Man United are trying to bring him to Manchester United. I mean, that sounds great. I'd be open to it. He looked decent. Is he going to get in the team ahead of Garnacho? Is he going to get in the team ahead of people like Ahmad? Maybe. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Right. I think that's everything I had planned for the show today. I was just looking at if there was any comments to read, but I think I've covered all of the main talking points. But I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. Thank you very much for joining me on the show this evening. I'll be back live tomorrow at 8:30 as normal. Please make sure to drop a like on the video before you leave. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. This has been Daily Red Devil. Have a lovely evening, everybody. And I will speak to you all at 8:30 tomorrow morning. Bye for now. Have a good night. Speak soon.